Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about Saturn. And Saturn always gets a bad rap because Saturn's not a lot of fun. Let me put it that way. Saturn is the planet of responsibility. It is the planet of discipline. It's a planet of focus. It's a planet of structure, keeps things together, rules, regulations. It's the planet of time. Saturn defines things in such a way, and most of all, do not forget this, Saturn is a planet of karma. Now, why do I want to talk about Saturn today? Because it's about to change signs. And Saturn changes signs every 2.5 years. And while it's in a particular sign, it really does flavor things in a very different way. Now, Saturn has been in Aquarius for almost 2.5 years because, get this, March 29th, Saturn is going to go into Pisces, where it will stay for 2.5 years. Okay, before I get going, I'm going to remind everyone briefly to sign up for my newsletter. Go to galacticcenter.org and you will get all my predictions delivered to your email address every week and everything else that I'm doing. You'll love it. As well as, while you're at my website, make sure you check out my Patreon page. I have a spiritual community that meets weekly, and all sorts of perks are given with this membership. Do not miss this opportunity. Another thing is my Galactic Planner. If you haven't tried my Galactic Planner, you're missing out. Try it out. We are offering so many new features with it. Dashas. You will get your dashas not only with all your transits and everything about your transits, the dispositors, the rulerships. You have no idea the wealth of information that will be delivered into your phone, into your calendar. What it does is it takes your own personal chart and calculates. It gives you all of your transits daily. This is personalized and what it means for you without all the astrology jargon. So you can be living your best life through using the stars. Go to galacticplanner.com. Now, last but not least, if you're interested in learning Vedic astrology, I have a magnificent stellar school. You will love it. Go to universityofvedicastrology.com. Now, getting back to Saturn and moving into the sign of Pisces. So when exactly does Saturn move into Pisces, and what does it mean most of all? But Saturn is going to move into Pisces, as I said, March 29th, yes, 2025, and it will remain there till, well, it is going to go into Aries, June 2nd of 2027. And then it kind of retrogrades back into Pisces again from October 20th of 2027 to February 22nd of 2028. And then by February 22nd, around that time of 2028, it will remain in Aries for a 2.5 year jaunt. But we're going to talk about what affects us now as it moves into Pisces. I think it's so significant that the day that Saturn moves into Pisces is hours after a solar eclipse. Eclipses are so telling. What do I always say about eclipses? They bring out something we didn't know about in the darkness. So on the 29th, there's going to be something, or not exactly on that day, but around this time. And Saturn brings reality into being. Now, what is so interesting to me about Saturn being in Pisces, Pisces deals with spirituality in the deepest sense of the word. Pisces is mystical, spiritual, and it is the last sign of the zodiac. So with that, it brings endings before a new beginning. But while it is here, Saturn is going to be, first of all, with Rahu. And I've been talking about this for so long, but in case this is your first visit to, to all of my readings here, I've been talking about Saturn coming together with Rahu. Rahu is the north node of the moon. They will only be together for 2 months, between March 29th and May 29th. But this is radical, because in Pisces, I know I've told you guys that listen to me all the time, that the last time they were there, it was the Vietnam War, and there was 2 assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. and Bobby Kennedy. So we're going to have an array of extreme events occurring again. But another thing is, Saturn is going to be back and forth throughout the summer months and on into really the first 6 months of 2026. Saturn will be transiting back and forth with Neptune. And this is a big deal. Saturn with Neptune will bring up so many instances and realizations of things that have been deceptive, denied, cheating, lying, untruthfulness. Neptune is deception. Neptune is secrets. Neptune is dishonesty. I know Neptune can rule spirituality as well. I've been an astrologer for over 40 years. And you know, all the books talk about Neptune in the spiritual light. 9 times out of 10, it deals with the deception and the secrets. I've just seen this in reality. That's the truth. Neptune deals with ways that we escape the world too. And that deals with many negative things as well as positive. It can deal with nirvana, going to another place, a higher dimension. So that is the spiritual. But how else do we escape the world? You know, another thing you can just look at is the 12th house, because even though in Vedic astrology most astrologers don't use the outer planets. I do. I know they work. But Neptune's symbology is reminiscent of the 12th house, which is relative to the 12th sign, Pisces. We don't use the outer planets as rulers. And the system works beautifully, perfectly as a matter of fact. But I use the outer planets in terms of being with other planets. They influence the other planets. But my whole point is Neptune deals with everything the 12th house is about, escape. How do we escape the world? Prisons, hospitals. I'm talking, these are the things that the 12th house rules. Ashrams, spirituality, sleep, death, endings. This is all Neptune. The oceans, the seas, other countries, this is all Neptunian. So you put Saturn with Neptune, and you're going to find that so many cults, so many deceptions are going to come to reality. What is Saturn reality? Neptune delusion, Saturn reality. We wake up to the illusion. The reality sets in. But so many illusions have been out there. Now another thing, because Saturn is an awakening process and difficult, it will be difficult. Along with Neptune, it tells me there's going to be major problems with the oceans, the seas, travel on them, ships. Be careful. Lots of severe weather. But another thing, because Saturn rules things underneath the earth, the ground, and Saturn is black, and Saturn rules coal, Saturn rules oil, crude oil. And Neptune rules oil too, by the way, and gas, natural gas, and anything to do with fogs and gases. Put this together, we are going to have explosive events concerning oil and gas. There is going to be some blow-ups, maybe pipelines, things of an extreme nature. And a lot of shipwrecks and problems with boats and shipping and things on the ocean. Maybe oil leaks with ships. We have a lot that we're going to be looking at with this Saturn being in Pisces. And while Saturn's in Pisces, it actually activates Jupiter all the more, because Jupiter rules Pisces. So it makes things bigger and more expansive, things that are going on. But Jupiter being in Taurus and Saturn being in Pisces actually will have major effects on the economy. Saturn and Jupiter are the social planets. They deal with the economy and social events going on around the world, which is majorly disruptive and changing. Saturn is karma and spirituality in Pisces. So yes, there's going to be a lot going on with cults. People that minds are completely controlled by others. Be careful. Even this AI, that's what I'm talking about. Our minds being controlled by others through AI. This is a Saturn thing and Neptune. Let me just say this. Somebody sent me all this information on AI about astrology. Every single thing I read was wrong. And this is the kind of information they're giving to people. People that don't know astrology don't know it's wrong. It's said that there was this lineup of planets in Virgo right now. There is nothing in Virgo but K2. All the planets are in Pisces. Completely wrong. It said that Jupiter and Saturn were conjunct. Jupiter and Saturn are not conjunct. The last time they were conjunct was in 2020, and they won't be conjunct for another 20 years following, 2030. And all sorts of discrepancies with fixed stars. And this is the kind of stuff that's going to be controlling people's minds. Yeah, we've got a lot of problems ahead with AI. It's not where it needs to be at all. It's incorrect. It's using information that's completely wrong. And who's to say if it's right? After it's infiltrated in so many minds of people. Saturn is a reality check to all of this. But I hope that people wake up, because there are going to be control of people's minds and cults, things of this nature. People want to escape. And how do they escape this world? Through a cult. Because a cult will tell you things that you want to hear and ways that you can get out of this world and find nirvana. But it's not true. But people want to believe it. And as I said before, think about the Jonestown massacre. They drank the Kool-Aid. We're going to find a lot more of this going on as we get Saturn in Pisces with Neptune. And especially even Rahu shifting to Aquarius and K2 being in Leo. As a matter of fact, I went back historically and found this was the time of many cults. We have some serious crazy stuff that's going to be happening. You think it's been crazy before? It's going to be crazier. Saturn in Pisces. Wow. It's going to bring out the crazy things. And let me just say, it's not only Saturn being in Pisces, it's the lineup with the other planets that's making it off the charts, crazy and difficult. But Saturn is karma. And people don't get away with things. It seems like they do, but karma catches up with everyone. And here's the thing, it's not your place to judge who gets what karma. Let the divine work it out. It comes when it's supposed to, and it comes at the best time. Everything always does. So we must realize that whatever you do, good or bad, it will come back to you. That's Saturn. Saturn controls all of that. And Saturn, you can't escape the ravages of time, because Saturn rules time in old age. We all succumb to Saturn. No escaping that. No escaping Saturn, right? Saturn, let me put it this way. We have to have Saturn. There has to be order. There has to be rules. There has to be boundaries. There has to be discipline and focus, or nothing would get done. And Saturn gives whatever you put out. So if you've worked really hard and never give up, and you are diligent, persistent, hardworking, Saturn will reward you. But like I said, it's not a lot of fun. But Saturn does give our just rewards. According to what we put in, we get back. And Saturn is your friend, believe it or not. Saturn will make things right. That's the best part. Saturn will make things right. You don't make things right, Saturn does. So trust in Saturn. It is hardworking. It's what makes us who we are. And Saturn in Pisces is going to bring up a lot of stuff, I think, from the past too, because the 12th house in Pisces being the last sign will surface the things over the next 2.5 years that have been hidden. But a lot is going to fight to be exposed, but the exposure is going to happen. We have to love Saturn. It's part of life, and it makes things right. What would you do without discipline and focus in your life and structure? Be a mess. So let's give a little thanks to Saturn. And remember, if you have planets in Pisces, you're going to have to wake up and change and grow up. And so many people are so afraid of the Saturn return. Saturn coming back to where it was when you were born. Saturn takes 27 to 30 years to go through all 12 signs of the zodiac. So basically, when you're 29, everyone has their Saturn return. And people think it's a bad thing. It's just a time you have to grow up. People are different in their 30s than they are in their 20s. It's a time to get serious about life. If that's a scary thing, yeah, your Saturn return is going to be bad. But if you're ready to grow up and mature and be responsible, Saturn return is a good thing. Now, I'll tell you what's difficult, that is different than the Saturn return, and people get it always mixed up, is Sati Sati. Sati Sati is not Saturn return. Saturn return, everyone goes through at the same time, age 29 and age 59. And then again, what, 89. It's basically every 29 to 30 years. And it's a turning point of your life, of maturity, of change, looking at life from a different perspective, that's all. And from my thoughts on that, that's a good thing. But Sati Sati is when Saturn comes to your moon in your chart. And Sati Sati means 7.5, and they say, oh, it's the worst time in life. Yeah, it can be tough. Because the moon is the mind and the emotions. Saturn coming to it is heavy, can be depressing, can be serious. Heavy things happen. And so the reason why it's 7.5, it's when Saturn's in the sign before, the sign of, and the sign after the moon. And remember I said Saturn's in a sign for 2.5 years. So you put it in the sign before 2.5, the sign of the moon 2.5, that's 5 years, and the sign after the moon, that's 7 years. So that's just a time that Saturn will play out some difficult karmic things. And a lot of times in Sati Sati, people get divorced, people die, partners die. A lot of heavy things happen. This is part of life and part of Saturn. But that's Sati Sati. It is not Saturn return. Everybody's, oh, I'm going through my Saturn return. I'm like, what? That's not a big deal. Anyway, you get my drift with that. Saturn is maturity and responsibility. And if you live your life right, Saturn treats you right. That's all there is to it. So get ready. I've given you a lot of information as what to expect for Saturn being in Pisces. And let me tell you, as soon as it does change on the day of that eclipse, you'll feel it. There will be a change of heart, a change of interest, and a change in the air around the world. It will feel different. And that's how you can really live and experience astrology from a sense of feeling and knowing. It works. So with that, I think I'll close. Remember, if you'd like to learn more about me or my school, first go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and then go to my university and check out my online school. Go to universityofvedicastrology.com. Thank you.